Hello, creative people. This is Catherine with aMotleyArt, and I have a small little art journal that I've started, and I'm going to do some videos on. So I'm just showing you here the blank journal. It's just some cardstock that's gray, and I'm going to be making 4x4 pieces. And so this is the first one that I did. I used a bunch of different things, but the main paper pad that I'm using is Sea Maiden by Authentique, and I made this several months before filming this video, so I don't have any film of that. I didn't film it, I just made it on my own, and then thought, you know what, I really want to make some more of these little art pieces, and so that's what I'm going to do, and I wanted to share that with you. So I had cut out some different C type die cuts. So this was one that I had made, and I decided to just go ahead and put it down on the full 4x4. I thought it would make a really interesting background. So I went ahead and did that first. I really had very little idea of what I was doing when I was creating this piece. I had used the Sea Maiden paper pad to do a 5x7 album, and I have a bunch of pieces left over from that, and so I just was like, I really want to make just some little art pieces with that. So once I had it down, I did take a dark gray Stabilo pen and I put a little bit of shading, and then I took the rosemary ink from Close to My Heart, and I have this stamp that's kind of like polka dotted from Close to My Heart, and I just added some of that on top because I just wanted to add some texture. And so my main focal piece, I really wanted to be that lovely lady there. I just love her. She just looks like she's enjoying a day at the beach, or maybe she's a mermaid. We can't quite tell, can we? But I was having a hard time trying to figure out how to use that whole big piece, and realized that I needed to cut it down because I really just wanted the lady. I wanted her to be the thing that your eye went to first. And then, but I also loved kind of that sentiment of wild, beautiful, and free. I wanted to use that as well, but I wanted that to be like the secondary thing that you saw, that you look at her first and then kind of then realize, oh wait, there's words on here as well. So I have those more in the background, and I'm trying to make sure that she is coming more front and focused. And so cutting off some of that extra empty negative space really helped with that. I also had this little sea star. That's not it. Starfish. Whew, I could not remember that word. I had a little starfish that I had cut out, and I had inked the bottom. It's actually a couple of layers of cardstock, and I inked the bottom and then had the top there where it's kind of like polka dotted so you could see through that little bit of orange. And I thought that was really nice to give me a pop of color, because everything else on here is very similarly colored, similar greens and kind of some beige tans. So I wanted a little pop of something else, a little pop of contrast. And so I brought that in to do that. Plus, I don't know if you can see this very well, but her lips also are very red, kind of a red corally color. So I thought introducing a corally kind of color wasn't going to distract, because it was on the page, even though it's just a little bit on there, not a ton. And I think it goes with each other, it blends together. But I also wanted to pop her up on some foam, so I did that. And again, just to try to make her visually come closer to you, so that that's where your eye lands first. And then I did curl up a couple of corners on that sandpaper behind her. I just think that gives a nice kind of vintagey kind of look to it, makes it not look so precise. I wanted a little less of that, seeing that everything on here has a little bit of a vintage feel. Then I used some shimmer brush to glitter up her hair and her dress, or her scales, however you want to look at it. and I used a lighter gray to kind of go around and put some shadows. So I wanted those words to kind of pull out a little bit more from its background. I just wanted to give a little depth to that. And I'll end up doing this around her as well. I wanted to give her a little bit more depth, even though all of this is printed paper that I'm using. Just bits that I had left over from a different item that I had created. And so, but I still wanted it to I wanted her to pop out more. So I really feel like adding this shading really helped give her a little bit more depth in the image as well. So I really love how this came together, and I'm just showing it to you here a little bit closer. It was just really fun to make, and I'm going to add it into my little book. Now, my starfish is kind of hanging over a lot, I realized, so I'm not going to end up having as much of a border around the edges because I needed to move it over. So I will say, if you're going to do some art journaling where you're going to put your main page into a different book later, just be really careful about how you overhang things. But I didn't want to cut them off. How can you cut off that cute starfish? I really appreciate you watching this whole video. I hope you come back for the next few that I do. I think I can get a few more Sea Maidens made up. Have a creative day.